Hello, I'm George Middleton, musician, mentor, therapist, and author, promoting a work addressing the race construct, beliefs limiting authentic cultural knowledge, and racism, the disease and how to cure it. I also happen to be a co-host on State of Race in America, a tough conversation series with Harrison and Josh. Speaking of tough conversations, I'd like to begin this program by asking a few questions. Is race the same as culture? Is race real? And are you your color or your culture? Listen to some short interviews on this question.
So in answering that question, I would say it's a combination of both. In different situations, I feel like we have to understand our culture, how we fit in with others, how to relate when it comes to jobs, how it comes to just everyday conversations with people. When we talk about color, whether somebody calls us black, African American, what have you, it's still a perception of how we're looked at and the comfort level that we have to be at how others look at us. Probably more as a black man. I think that's very important for us to understand where we come from. When people say African American, I think that just, my grandparents are from Jamaica, so I don't need to, tell people, hey, no, I'm not African American. It's that comfort level of just being, I'm black and being comfortable with that and not have to, all these subtitles that we have to be involved with.
Do I see myself as a color or my culture, correct? Both. And I'll tell you why. I see myself, I have no choice but to see myself through the lenses that other people see me through. Because my day-to-day activities and or obstacles seem to be constructed around my color. So whether I buy into that or not, society around me does. And so I have a choice to participate in that or not. I can say organically, my first answer would be that I will probably lean towards culture versus color, because I strongly believe that my environment has made me who I am, and my environment is synonymous to culture to me, meaning rituals or traditions or things that make up Black culture to me versus skin color, because some people may identify as Black, some people may identify as African American, and some don't know the difference between the two, meaning Black as a skin color, meaning you could be Jamaican, Haitian, African American, Senegalese, any type of minority. And a lot of people do not understand the differentiation between those things. So that's why I organically would lean towards culture versus color.
Society doesn't really give you the option to choose. I think that, society basically puts you in a color or in a category based on your color, but not the color you are, but the color you're not. The fact that you're not white and you're not Asian and you're not Latino is how, as Black people and African Americans, that's how we identify ourselves. So I think we're grouped together by discrimination. I think the culture of being African American resonates with me more. Because if you look at Black people, we span the spectrum, and we're put into a category all the way down to the lightest Black person imaginable. And so I think, and many of the people that I know, including myself, we don't look African, But here in America, I think that, we're pushed together. And I think that we need to band together, because if we don't, then, in those situations where we are discriminated against and where there is a prejudice based on being non-white, I think we'll be put in a situation where there's just too much complicity. But trying to think of the word that I'm looking for. Basically, where people are complicit with what's going on when we're being discriminated against, and too many people who aren't willing to stand up, that we'll be left alone without a support group.
Am I hearing you correctly?
I identify myself, George, personally as a globalist. Okay. Because I think I've had a different background than maybe a lot of other people. And the reason I say culture is because I think if you... I've lived overseas for 15 years.
Okay.
And I've lived in different cultures. And that's not to say that when I look at somebody, I don't see the color of their skin. Mm-hmm. But I also see what they're wearing. I also might see they got brown eyes. I also might see they're wearing shorts or long pants. I might also see if they're bald or not. How do we not see these things? I see these things. So we can't walk around and say, I don't see color. Oh, yes, you do. You see whether the person's got hair or not, or whether they're wearing glasses or not. So I think we need to be honest about that.
Let me read you a historical fact here. The race construct was created for societal divisions, not intended for purposes of unity. In the 1860s, although slavery ended, race as a social status and basis of our human identities remained. Race ideology proclaimed the existence of separate, distinct, and exclusive groups that were made unequal by God or nature. African Americans, the most inferior, were at the bottom of the hierarchy. European whites, some of them, were at the top. As you watch these following clips, ask yourself, do you see color or do you see culture? Do you see values, traditions, or do you see only the outward characteristics of skin? Do you see color or do you see culture?